Hello and welcome. This is Honeysuckle bringing you the player updates for the September 2017 Minecraft Hardcore Challenge. This first episode will be catching up on all the episodes everyone has out so far, which should be the first 4 episodes for those who are caught up on posting on schedule. Now, I'm not personally doing the challenge this month, but I hated to see that no updates were done yet this month, so I volunteered to do them once again. Jumping right in with alphabetical order, because that's how I like to do it, we have Bad Senator. He starts collecting resources, quickly makes stone tools, starts a small wheat farm, found and trapped some llamas, and built a small starting shelter. Then he gets trapped in a small hole with only 1 heart left after an encounter with some skeletons. In his episode 2, he uses the skeleton bones to quickly grow some wheat, collect some more seeds to expand his farm, went looking for a cave, found some more llamas, got lost at night, unable to find his home, and finally succumbed to a zombie. So that's the end of his series for this month. Next, Baker Bell Games. In her episode 1, she set off in search of llamas, collecting pumpkins and seeds and flowers for food, breeding llamas, and carpet saddles, respectively. One of the funniest videos to watch because of all the giggling and cutting up she does. She does dig down for the night and finds a spider spawner dungeon. In episode 2, she planted her seeds, finally got some eggs from the cranky chickens, wandered around in the rain looking for a swamp before heading underground for the night. She did find some iron and lapis, some emerald and redstone. In her episode 3, she found more iron, still underground, letting her iron smelt up before heading back up to shear a herd of sheep and cut down some trees. Then she ran a long way, still looking for a swamp. In her episode 4, she's still looking for that swamp. She grabs some mushrooms from the roofed forest and makes a mushroom stew before still looking around for the swamp, before finally digging in at night to find a bit more iron. Next, we have DJ Paul in his episode 1, Take 1. He explored around gathering a few resources looking for the swamp, but he died during the night to a spider. In his Take 2, he plays it a bit more cautious, planting a farm and heading underground at night, and he does find enough iron for a pick and sword and a chest plate. In his episode 2, he finds bones laying around to speed his crop growth, collects some eggs and sugar cane, expands his wheat farm to include pumpkins and sugar cane, then heads back down at night where he finds 1 single diamond. He does also find some gold and more iron. Then he heads up to tackle an armored skeleton to end the episode. As episode 3, unfortunately, he did have recording issues and lost a few episodes, and decided to go ahead and end the series for the month. So hopefully we'll see him back next month. Next, we have Dragon Feathers. In her episode 1, she gathers seed and woods and heads underground overnight. Her episode 2, she gathers some coal, pumpkins, more seeds, and heads back to her base for the night, expands her farm, then heads back down, finding iron and a cave to end the episode. In her episode 3, she starts out still in the cave, gathering all the iron before heading back up to do a little bit of exploring before getting back home in time for the night, where she suits up in iron armor and continues mining. Episode 4, she comes back up to find 1 wheat grown. She does make a shield, then she braves the rain to hunt for llamas, which she does find, before rushing back home as night falls, only to realize she has absolutely no food. She works a little on her base to pass the time, heading back down after a while to see what resources she can find before ending the episode. Next, we have Grandma's Gun Gaming. In her episode 1, she gathers seed, wood, coal, starts a small farm in a riverbed. She finds the llamas at the edge of the forest along the way. She digs down overnight for resources, finding iron and plenty of coal. Episode 2, she explores the area, finding more llamas, some pumpkins, a huge ravine, then heads back to her base, planting saplings along the edges of the river before digging out a little home in the side of the cliff near her farm. Then she heads back down and works her way across underground to the ravine she found earlier. She does break through into a cave at the end of the episode. In her episode 3, she collects some more iron and coal from that cave. She goes back home to tend to her farm before heading back down to find the ravine again, but still comes out in another cave system. In her episode 4, she explores that cave for resources and goes back to tend her wheat farm. Then as night falls suddenly, night falls suddenly on her because she lost track of the time she spent down in the cave. But she does manage to brave the night looking for chickens and cutting down trees. Next, we have Greg C96 in his episode 1. He has a plan for the llamas that sounds pretty complicated to get accomplished in just 9 episodes, but we'll see how it works out. Go check out his video to see what he has in mind. He does find a zombie spawner in his first episode. Very nice. In his episode 2, editing Greg had a lot of fun with this episode. I laughed too hard, especially at the lava bit. This episode was a lot of mining with a brief foray above ground just in time for nightfall, but does end up with diamonds, 8 of them. Next we have Java Dad. He's doing his episodes in a time-lapse to help get caught up for those watching. He does plant a garden and heads underground at night for resources. Next we have Lorelei. In her episode 1, she cuts down some trees, spots the llamas, collects seeds, starts a small wheat farm, and heads down into a cave for the night to start mining for resources. In her episode 2, she does get enough iron to get a full set of armor. She collects more resources with an eye to making concrete. In her episode 3, she heads back up to check on her wheat farm, cuts down more trees, hoping for apples, then works on turning the concrete powder into concrete, gathers some pumpkins and sugarcane before making it home in the dark and heading back down to find a cave to explore. In her episode 4, she tends her garden, getting ambushed by a skeleton. She hunts chickens for eggs to make pumpkin pie, and then goes back to the cave for more mining at night. Next we have Outfoxed. In his episode 1, he gathers resources, he makes basic stone tools, starts a wheat farm next to the llamas, then he heads underground for the night. Episode 2 starts out still mining, but he does head up to cut down more trees and check on his farm. He tames a llama and puts a chest on it, makes an iron chest plate, then heads back down to mine for the night. In his episode 3, he heads up to deal with creepers and a baby zombie. He fixes the creeper hole and the garden damage, cuts down some trees, expands his garden area. He dyes some sheep and heads back down to the mines for the night, finding a cave to explore. Episode 4, he's exploring the area looking for that tamed llama that seems to have disappeared. He does tend to his garden after dyeing some more sheep, starts smelting iron while working more on his garden area. Then he braves the night, tackling several mobs while still keeping an eye out for his missing llama George. And he does finally find him as the sun begins to rise. So good job there. I was worried about poor George. Thought for sure that creeper had got him. Next we have Rabbit Roars. In her episode 1, she collects resources. She heads for the provided coordinates. She takes refuge in a cave for the night. For episode 2, she started a pumpkin farm, brought some chickens back to her base, collected sugarcane and more pumpkins, planted the sugarcane and some saplings, then headed back inside to eat some pumpkin pie, and then head back down to mine for the night. Next we have Captain Hook 5150. In his episode 1, he gathers a few resources, then heads for the coordinates provided, started a wheat farm, then dug in the hill for a safe place at night, and starts heading down to mine for the night. In his episode 2, he does a lot of work on his base area. He plants a small wheat farm inside the base, and heads back down underground for the night to mine for more resources. And he does find that zombie spawner dungeon to end the episode. Episode 3, he opens those chests in the dungeon to check out the loot. Then he heads back up, makes some shears, and hunts for sheep and flowers for dye. He puts carpet on tamed llamas, makes some armor, then mines down through the night. Episode 4, he heads up, plays with more llamas and carpets, plans to make a cake but realizes he needs sugar, which he doesn't have. And he doesn't want to hunt for it at night, so he heads back down to mine. Then he heads up just before dawn to find the sugar cane and wraps up the episode by making that cake. Next we have TSG Gaming. In his episode 1, he finds his llamas, gathers some resources, planted a small farm, made a small cave base, complete with the storage room and a kitchen, before heading down to look for iron. Next we have Wandering Nerd. In his episode 1, he gathers a few resources during the day, digs down at night to mine for resources. Episode 2, he ventures out looking for food and llamas, collecting more resources along the way, before finally digging in at night to head down and look for whatever he can find. He does come across a cave system to explore and found enough iron to make a full set of armor. Episode 3, he is hurting for food by now. He heads out to track down our provided coordinates. He finds some llamas, sets up a base in a handy cave, and plants a wheat farm. He uses the bones that he's found to quickly grow the wheat and make some bread. He dyes some sheep, collects sugarcane, digs down, and finds another cave system to explore. In his episode 4, he heads up and out, collects more seeds to expand his wheat farm. He plants some saplings and got very lucky with 3 apples from that one tree. Then he holes up for the night and headed back down to grab more resources. So that's it for now. If I missed anyone or any recent episodes, I'll catch them next time. Just drop a comment down below and let me know. So until then, bye.